Was that in YouTube or OBS that you just did that?
OBS.
Okay.
And then YouTube should start. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right.
Get ready to go live.
I'm ready. Fix your hair, Electra.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay. All right, everyone. Me and Jackie Sarver is on to talk with you all tonight. Jackie has a some very important information that I know we're all going to enjoy. And if you know this platform, you know how it goes. So the individual that any individual that I interview gets 30 minutes to put their information out there, what they're passionate about. So we want you to enjoy it. And if you're in the chat section and you want to say anything in the chat section, feel free to do so. We're just happy to have you here on tonight. And so at this time, I'm not going to take a lot of time because I want to give Jackie the opportunity to utilize her 30 minutes to get out the information that she wants to get out there to everyone. Welcome, Jackie, and you can take the floor now.
All right. Well, as most of you know, if you've looked at the information, what I'm going to be talking about tonight is something I feel passionately about, which is that you have to believe in yourself, even if no one else does. And I want to start by saying that we aren't always taught that from our childhood. And I don't want to diss on anybody's family. If you really want to look at stuff, every family in the world is dysfunctional in some way or another. But we, especially as young girls, we are often taught, well, when you grow up and get married, this. When you grow up and have children, this. When you grow up and have your own home, this. And many of us grow up thinking that until we have those things, we're not successful, no matter what we achieve. But what I want to tell you is that's not true. You do not need another outside force, a husband, children, a house of your own, a home of your own. You do not need those things to be a successful person. What you need is to believe in yourself. Now, I know that's so easy to say. So easy to say and so much harder to believe. I did not come to the point of believing in myself. First of all, I didn't start believing in myself at all until my late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come to any belief at all in myself all at once. It came little by little. With each success, every time I succeeded at something, I thought, I can do this. Yes. Oh, wow, I can do this. I had a couple of years of college when I first out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did a couple of other things, and then I got sick. I got very ill. I was in the hospital for 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I had to drop out of school. I was too weak and too ill to continue with school. And by the time I felt well enough to go back to school, guess what? My student loans were due. And so I couldn't go back to school. I had to go to work. But inside myself, I always felt like I was meant to be an educated person. And that doesn't mean that there's only one way to be an educated person. There's a lot of people who are smart enough, intelligent enough to educate themselves without going to college, but I wasn't. I needed instruction.
Okay.
And I went through my whole life until I was 39 years old saying it was too late. I couldn't do it. Can't go back to college because I've got to earn a living. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. It went through going through a marriage to a man that I should not have married.
Mm-hmm.
And why did I marry a man I should not have married? Because I still had that thought in my head that unless I am married,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot be complete.
Okay.
And then I found out not long after I got married that I couldn't have children.
Hmm.
And my world was devastated because if I couldn't have a husband and I couldn't have the children, were two of the parameters that I thought I had to meet
Okay.
in order to be successful.
All right.
And I had to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally came to understand, first of all, that it didn't have to be kids that I had myself, that I could be an influence on young people,
Right.
that they didn't have to call me mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started with being an influence through church.
Yes.
I started by being an influence with the children of my friends. I didn't start. It wasn't that I started taking over their parents' position, but I started being someone they could come to, like Electra is someone that young people know they can come to for instruction and advice. I started being someone that they knew they could come to. And
Mm-hmm.
as more and more of them came to me, I realized that I had a gift for being
Okay.
able to to share
Mm-hmm.
what people needed to hear.
All right.
And that started to grow in me. And one day I said to myself, you know, this isn't enough for me.
All right.
I always wanted to be, I, I wanted to have a college degree. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to for myself, not for anybody else. And it wasn't something I ever really talked about because it wasn't on that list of things that I was given that had to have to be successful.
Yes.
No one said, and in my family, I was the first one to graduate from high school. And I'm talking about my parents, grandparents, way back. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I do have a younger sister. I have 5 siblings, and of the
Okay.
5 of the 6 of us,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the third, but the first to graduate from high school. And my youngest sister, the 6th, also graduated from high school. Now, my other siblings, my sisters, they've gone on and gotten their GEDs, and I applaud them for that. But
Okay.
to stick it out, stay through high school, because I wanted to go to college, and I did go to college, but I didn't get that degree because I got sick. And then I thought I couldn't get that degree.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, in the back of my mind, all the time that I was doing that,
Uh-huh.
I was still thinking, I got to get married too. Because if I'm not
Yes.
married and I don't have kids, it doesn't matter what kind of degree I have, right?
Right. Right.
So I put a lot of stoppers on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, when I was 39 years old, I had been through a marriage and a divorce. I had been through cancer. No, I hadn't been through cancer yet at that point.
Okay.
I had been through a marriage and a divorce. I
Mm-hmm.
had moved around. I had worked for one company for 18 years. And in
Okay.
working for that one company for 18 years, I learned, I mean, people from all over the company, I realized were calling me, little old
Yes.
me. How do I
Yes.
do this?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. How do I do that? Oh, okay. I was being asked to train people to do stuff, but I couldn't be hired to do what they were doing because I didn't have a degree.
All
And the
right.
company required that you had a degree. And
Yes.
so that candle was relit in me that said, I can go to school, I can be someone.
Mm-hmm.
It had been totally squashed with my marriage, that candle, that desire to be anything.
Yes.
Because by the time that marriage was over, that man had used and abused me, as
Mm.
so many men have done, and
Okay.
to so many women. And I thought that I had to put up with it because it was, as they say, it was the bed I made and had to stay in it. I thought
Yes.
for a long time.
Yes.
And I finally talked to someone else who believed in me, who happened to be my older sister. And I told her, I said, how miserable I was in this marriage. And I'm not advising anybody to get divorced, because I'm going to tell you right now, divorce is not easy either. But she finally said, why did you marry that one? He doesn't believe in you. You need to believe in yourself.
Yes.
And that was when I was like 35 years old. And that's when I started really understanding what it means to say, I want this, and to go for it. And by the time I was 39, I realized, I was still working for that company when they wouldn't hire me into that position that I was training everybody else for, that I was meant to be in a leadership position. I was meant to have that degree.
Yes.
But I had to believe in myself. Nobody paid for it for me. Nobody told me I had to go back. I applied for every scholarship, every grant, you name it, and I got them. Almost every scholarship I applied for, every grant I applied for, I got them. And I got them for two reasons. One reason, and I'm going to tell you now, is because I put in the work to apply.
Okay.
You don't know how many times people don't think they can do it, and so they don't. They don't try.
Yes.
They don't believe they have the capability, and so they don't try. You have to believe in yourself, even if no one else does. As I would go into that scholarship and grant office every 2 or 3 weeks and look and see if there were any new scholarships or grants out there. And this one girl, she laughed at me. She says, you come in here more often than anyone else in this whole school. And I said, and how many scholarships and grants am I getting? And she said, more than anyone else in this whole school. Because sometimes there are grants that I'm not, a lot of people would qualify for, but they don't apply for.
Right.
But I had to believe in myself. And yes, was it work? Every one of those scholarships required an essay. Every one of those grants, every one required an essay and an example and a this and a that. But I was worth it.
Yes.
I made my way when I was 2 weeks before my 40th birthday. I was 39 years old. 2 weeks before my 40th birthday, I went back to college.
Yes.
I had stopped college when I was 23. 2 weeks before my 40th birthday, I went back. And I'm going to tell you, I went back full time. I went back full time. I got scholarships and grants, and I worked 3 jobs. And you know what?
Yes.
People say, oh, you couldn't do that. That's impossible. But you know what? You can do anything if you believe in yourself.
Yes.
I worked 3 jobs. I carried my school books with me everywhere. If I had 5 minutes, I was reading. I standing in line at the grocery store. I'm reading. Even easier now that everyone's got a Kindle. You can, or a tablet. You can put the books on. I was reading. I was writing. I was this. And I started out getting a degree in education because I thought I had learned that I was this good communicator and that I could work with children. And so I thought I have to be a teacher. It didn't feel right to me. It did not feel right to me.
Okay.
And so I changed my major to creative writing because I love to write, and I've always loved to write, but I had never shared what I'd written because I didn't know. But then I decided, to heck with it. I believe in myself now. I'm going to be a creative writer. And in the process of becoming this creative writing degree, I applied for a job on campus, and the job was to be an English tutor.
Okay.
I got the job as an English tutor.
Yes.
And by the end of that semester, I was so good at being an English tutor that students were also coming to me for counseling. And the director of the program saw that, and she said, I'm going to ask if you would like to also be a peer counselor. So I was still a student. I became a peer counselor and a tutor.
Okay.
And when I graduated with my bachelor's degree in creative writing, she said, the director of that department said, I know that you don't have a degree in counseling, in education, but would you like to come on full time? as a counselor and advisor in our program.
Yes.
I had no idea when I headed in to what I was doing that I was going to become an advisor and counselor. I had no idea.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I want to tell you that when it came and it hit me, it wrapped around me like a glove. And I knew that I belonged there. I still wrote. I still write to this day. After a few years of being at that university as a peer counselor, I decided my father was very ill and it was costing me a lot of money, and I needed to change jobs to make a little more money. And so I applied to a different college, which is the college where Electra and I worked together. And they hired me as a advisor and counselor, although I did not yet have the degree that they required of me, because they saw what I could do and what I had done. And they saw that I believed in myself.
Yes.
So as I moved over to this new college, and the new college that I went to was a community college, and a lot of people who were going to that community college were just like me, went back to college later in life,
Yes.
struggled with believing in themselves. Let me tell you, those are the people who had had challenges, who thought they couldn't do it because the world had told them they couldn't do it.
Right.
Those are the people that I was able to work with. And not just the older students, but younger ones. I worked with students who came out of having served time in jail.
Yes.
And thought they're useless now. There's nothing they can do. I worked with students who had grown up in the foster care system and thought all their lives they were useful. I'm going to tell you, I spent time in the foster care system. I could communicate with those people. I understood. And I could tell them, I know that you're beaten down, but you don't have to wait for somebody else to approve of you. You have to approve of you. Believe in yourself. Sorry, my cat's crying in the background. She can cry. But it took a lot for me to step out and say, if I can believe in myself, so can you.
Yes.
Electra knows my story, and I'm not going to go through it all here, but a lot of us have parents that are very encouraging, and they encourage us to go for it and to do things. Well, as my siblings and I like to say, we had what's called non-participatory parents.
Yeah.
They didn't participate in our lives, and that's fine. Some of my sisters went one direction. I went this direction.
Okay.
Some of my other sisters later on have decided to come this direction too, and I have two sisters with college degrees now, not just myself.
Yes.
And it's because somebody said you need to believe in yourself, and eventually they did. For you, I'm telling you that the world is not out there to help other people succeed. It thinks it is, but it's not. If you do not believe in yourself, and I'm telling you now, as Electra has said, I used to work with her. I don't anymore. The reason that I don't work with Electra anymore is because it was Heavenly Father's wish, God's wish, that I become disabled.
Yes.
And I do believe I am saying that maybe He didn't make me become disabled, and I know He didn't. I have several diseases. One of them is a type of muscular dystrophy that I didn't know I had when I started working with Electra, and it kicked my butt. It just basically kicked my butt, and I had to retire because I cannot stay up for 8 hours a day. But I still believe in myself. That didn't make me stop believing in myself. By that point, I had cancer. By that point, I had moved again and again and again. But after I decided to believe in myself, yes, there were moments when I said, I can't do it anymore. But I call those pity parties. And in my vocabulary, everyone is allowed a pity party for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, get over it, get done, and move on. Believe in yourself.
Yes.
no matter. It doesn't matter if you have a man who believes in you, a companion who believes in you, parents who believe in you, sisters, bosses. It doesn't matter. Believe in yourself. Go for what you know you can accomplish and
Yes.
go even further. Now that I am retired, and even after I had to take medical leave, and um, as I was there at the college with Electra, I did get that master's degree that I needed to get, and pushed myself to that. And just as I was finishing with my master's degree, the disease got to me.
Yeah.
But in the process, I was able to publish a book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now a published author of 2 books. And I, besides all the other things that I do every day, which is help people with, I tutor, I help people with, I work with a group that does genealogy work, and I teach people how to do genealogy work. I advise several people on, we talk about careers and goals, things like that. But I also write every day.
Yeah.
And I haven't published another book, but that's an insurance issue. But when I'm 65 and I can, I will.
Yes.
But I write every day. That is what my ultimate passion is to be a writer. And I use all these experiences that I've had in my life towards writing because I believe in myself and I know that I can.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what happened to you as a child. Do not blame your upbringing. Learn from your upbringing.
Exactly.
I will tell you that by the time I graduated from high school, when I was 17 years old, I had moved 23 times. And no, my father was not in the military.
Mm.
And yes, several of those moves, many of those moves were while I was in foster care.
Mm.
But that does not define me. I've probably moved just as many times since I graduated from high school. Home is wherever I hang my hat. Home is where I am.
Yes.
And there's no one that decides that for me.
That's right.
And so all those, I'm not married. There were a couple of times since I've gotten divorced. There were been a couple of times that I thought I was creeping towards that again, but it just didn't work out. I don't have a companion. As I said, I was unable to have children, and the cancer that I had female cancer. And so all that plumbing's been removed now. And so I will never bear a child. But I'm going to tell you, whenever anybody asks me how many kids I have, I tell them I have 4,000. Don't I, Electra? I tell them I have 4,000. Because I figure that's how many students I touched while I was an advisor. And even now, I count people now that I help online. I count them as my children.
Yes.
Believe in yourself, and other people will believe in you too. But I think our time's up. Is that what you're telling me, Electra?
Yes, you have 4 more minutes that you can
I have
kind of share
4
any
minutes.
more information.
The information I want to share with you is keep watching Electra's podcasts. I'm kind of working with her behind the scenes to get them going because I believe in Electra. And I want to tell you something. You listen to me.
Okay.
When I tell you, you believe it.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if anybody else does.
Yes.
It only matters. And I believe in God. And I believe that God believes in me too.
Yes.
And I hope that you believe in God, but even if you
I
don't,
do.
believe in yourself.
Yes.
I believe God believes in me, and that's the only other person that I really care about believing in me.
Yes.
Is it nice when other people compliment me and tell me that I've done a good job and that I've really helped them? I love it.
We all do.
But do I have to help? No. So that's Anyway, my time is up. Thank you, Electra.
Well, you're so welcome. And um, I'm just going to ask you, are there any other things that's in your life that you want to share with others that
Well,
are looking at this podcast? Because we're all more than one thing, and we
we
all
are all more than one thing.
do is your
I would
subject
very
time.
much like to share at some point, uh, help people understand what it's like being a disabled person.
Okay.
And by disabled, I mean that I can get around with a walker,
Uh-huh.
but I have an electric wheelchair, which right now is broken, but I'm
Yes.
working on getting it fixed. And that is, I would like to come back at some point and talk about my
Yes.
experiences as a disabled person and
Sure.
what has happened to me in that process and what
Mm-hmm.
continues to happen to me in that
Yes.
process. So I'd like that
And
at some point.
and you're always welcome, and anyone who comes on this platform is always welcome to come back more than one time because your stories resonate with so many people. There will be people that you will never meet that will someday probably stumble across this video and say, hey, that's me. That's what I was going through. That's how I was feeling. And even with today, with all the technical problems and all of that took place, you pushed me to continue. Even I'm going, well, maybe we should just cancel, but you didn't see it that way, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. So your discussion today, your point of discussion about believing in yourself is so important because sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, when you're the only one doing what you're doing, I'm saying in your book, I'm not saying I'm the only one doing it. There are many people who have platforms and they can afford much more powerful technology than me. But this is something that God knows I love communication. He knows that I love, being an impact on other people's lives. And when I prayed about it. It wasn't something I just jumped up and just did. I literally prayed about it and asked God, what is it that I can do? What is it that you would have me to do? Because, we make jokes about, oh, it's a gift of gab. No, it's a gift of communication.
Right.
My philosophy is once the world stops communicating, we start drowning. We start ending up in a situation in life where nobody's talking. This world will go to kaput.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, again, when in the process behind the scenes, as you were saying earlier, you work behind the scenes. It takes a lot to make this happen on one night.
I
And
know.
you can get frustrated in a minute. So we've been at it since this morning. And
Oh, yeah.
what I came to find out was that there is technical problems going on everywhere. It's huge. So, when I had to go get in that line so that somebody
Mhm.
can look at my system and see what is going on. You start
Mhm.
thinking about it, and it relates still to what you're saying. Believing in yourself, even if nobody else does.
Mhm.
Even in
Mhm.
small moments like that, it can make you lose focus
Yes.
because
Yes.
you had everything together. We did the microphone checks. We did
Oh, everything.
these headphone checks. We checked everything. And all in one day. We started yesterday. Everything started to unravel.
Everything.
And it
We thought
wasn't
we had it
nothing.
all straightened out. We started to
Mhm.
unravel. Mhm.
So your point of discussion on tonight, believe in yourself. And it's easier said than done. Because
Mhm.
so very often people can push you to the brink.
Oh, yeah.
People like I was mentioning on my morning talks, you know, people don't believe that a service shouldn't be given. It's just certain people that they want to see deliver that service, and sometimes that person just is not you. But it goes
That's
back
right.
to what you were saying. We have to, we must believe in
Believe in
ourselves.
ourselves.
And your story
Amen.
of your life is just so unique in its own way. You know why? Because so many people, they give up, they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to just multiple unhealthy relationships. And, you know, a lot of times, so very often, we define people because of their actions on the outside. But everybody has a story. I don't care who you are.
Everybody has.
Everybody has a
Everybody has a
story.
story. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a story. And I think that what Electra is doing is giving everybody an opportunity to share that story.
Yes.
And sometimes it's good to know that regular people just like you and me have stories. It's not just celebrities or famous people or rich people or politicians or doctors or lawyers, or it's regular everyday people just like us.
Yes.
We all have stories.
Yes.
And Electra's letting us share them. Yeah.
Yes.
But I also have a YouTube channel. I just want to throw that in here real quick.
Yes, please.
My
Anything that you're
YouTube
doing.
channel is called This Life Well Lived. And I specifically focus on being a disabled person living a good life in that, on that. Because of the pandemic and because my wheelchair is broken at the moment, I haven't posted much, but I'll get there. I'll get more. But
Yes.
Electra's always linking to my channel and linking these videos, and I link them to my channel too. So anyway, thank you, Electra. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. I'm glad that excited that you agreed to come on this platform and looking at doing so many other things together with this platform that we have.
So many.
This world is never going to go back to how it was. So social media is going to be a thing from this day forward.
It's going to be a thing.
Okay.
It's going to be a thing. Sure
So
is.
do you have anything else you want to share?
That's it. That's all I got. That's
okay.
all I got.
Well,
all right.
Again, thank you for coming. Believe in yourself, everybody. If no one else believes in you, just like Miss Owen told you. And
we posted
we'll see you guys on next week.
We
we'll
posted
have
a schedule.
Yvette McGill coming out, and she's an author. And she's going to talk about, share information about her book. And so, as we get off of here tonight, we're going to be not tonight because we've had a long day and a long night since yesterday.
We're tired.
And we've got to get some technical stuff that we're still working on with the Geek Squad, so we can give
work on it more
all
tomorrow.
the best videos. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night. Night.
Good night, Electra.
Good night. Okay, good night.
We'll talk tomorrow. We'll do another trial run.
Okay.